Our computer board. When we go out to the new machine here in the wall for live fire, you're going to notice that computer board has a new button on it and something new on the board. So right here, we have a sticker, but on the new boards, there's a cycle counter on that machine now. So I can tell you exactly how many cycles it's had since you installed it, and exactly how many hours of operation it's had since you put it in. Yeah, but if you replace the board, you have to put a new front display on, which is no big deal. Because the new front display works with the new computer board that has but yes, you could retrofit any machine we have. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So what it looks like is this. It's up in this corner of the board. It has buttons. You can do the cycles, burner cycles, or the hours of operation. We're doing that because our warranty states that you can have 367,000 cycles to maintain the 15-year no-leak warranty. That would be over 300 cycles a day, which a residential application is not going to come close to that. Okay. Where we run into problems with cycles is in commercial applications, or anybody who uses a machine as a boiler in a closed loop application. Does anybody have it installed as a boiler? Keep that in mind, okay? Any closed loop system in a heating system application voids the warranty of the machine. This is not a boiler. This is the Eternal Hybrid on-demand water heater, not the Eternal Hybrid wall-hung boiler. It doesn't think like a boiler. It wasn't designed to be a boiler. What happens is this. Guys will take our machine. They think, okay, it's only $1,600, $1,700 to buy it. I've got in-floor radiant, but a perfect fit. It's 98% efficient. So you take our machine, they come out the hot side, they put a pump on there, they put their expansion tank, they tie that onto the supply manifold. They come back to the machine on the return, okay? There's no control to delta T. You can't control delta T. Whatever you have going out, once it starts coming back at the same temperature, this machine is short cycling like crazy. We've pulled ones out of heating systems that guys have done that have lasted for 7 months. They started springing a leak. We bring it back to Texas, we test the board, and we'd have 850 to 1,000 cycles a day on that poor machine. You kill it. You just kill it. I don't care what you make it of at that point in time. It just kills the machine. We do have a piping schematic to be used as for radiant floor heat, but nobody's going to do it. It's a unit, a 50-gallon 4-port storage tank, a flat plate heat exchanger, 3 pumps, a flow switch for priority, and a mixing valve to go out to the domestic. You could have bought a boiler twice when you put all the stuff together. We don't even advertise. You're not going to see that diagram in any of our books. The other thing to remember is, as a boiler, this is not 98% efficient anymore because it doesn't condense like a boiler. We have to have cold water hitting the bottom of those tubes so that the hot flue gases hit the cold tubes and we condense. If you're bringing warm water back to it, it's not going to condense as much because you're not cooling off the tubes as much. You take a wall-hung boiler, it's just the opposite. They don't condense until they get to 130 degrees. You got to drop below the dew point to condense the boiler. That's why I couldn't make my customers ever understand that. If I had a customer who wanted a fin tube baseboard in their house, and they wanted to buy a 98% sheet boiler, I said, you're wasting your money. Because if you're running 180 degree water out of that machine to baseboard, you're running at 88% efficiency. I don't care what the box tells you, because you're nowhere close to the dew point. You take that same machine, you put it on staple up radiant at 128 degree water, well now you're going to have 90 to 92% efficiency, and if you put it in a slab at 110, you could have 93 to 95% efficiency. So it's all based upon that dew point. So our machine is not 98% when used as a boiler. This also thinks about temperature and flow. A boiler only thinks about temperature. It's all it cares about. So what happens is when you put this in with no delta T control, it gets back, so the water starts coming back to it too hot. So let's say at 3 gallons a minute in a radiant floor heat system, when you get to a 30 degree delta T, you might only need 14,000 BTUs to recover that. Well, the machine can only fire down to 26,000. So it overheats the water coming into the NTC sensor, and the machine says, water's too hot, I need to shut off. So it does. But 10 seconds later, the flow switch says, yeah, but I have 3 gallons a minute going through me. I need to turn back on. So it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. Okay? Bill's had some put in his boilers with success, but the ones he's done have been piped properly so you can control the delta T's. So it's okay there. But just remember, it's the closed loop part of it. If you're pulling your domestic hot water off it, as well as your heat side, you're open loop, so the warranty stands. But any closed loop application does not have a warranty anymore. Recirculation has to have control, aquastatic control. Okay, so you keep that delta T between what's going out and coming back. There's 3 ways you can do that. We have an internal pump control built into the machine, so we have an outlet built in there. So you can take just a bronze circulator pump with no timer, no aquastat, just a cord, run it through our machine, plug it in, then you can set some dip switches on our board to set a timer. And now works off time and temperature.
Out of the machine?
Out of the machine itself. That all controls it. If you don't want to do that, then you have to get a Grumpus pump that has a timer and an aquastat. So you can set the timer, but you also want to have that aquastatic control, because you don't need more than 105 degree water going through a recirc. So you can't short cycle a machine that way. Or if you have if you have a house that wants to have recirculation but didn't pipe it in originally, Grumpus makes what they call the comfort system. which if you don't know about, Bill can tell you about that, because they're taking on Grunfest. And what it is a pump that goes in the hot water side, a very small pump, and there's a valve that goes underneath the furthest bathroom sink. And it ties the hot and the cold together, so you're using your hot and your cold line as a recirc. Now the Grunfest comfort system works great with our machine, but with nobody else's on demand, because the pump is less than a half a gallon a minute of flow. So it can't activate a Rinnai, Takagi, Noritz, or Navion. But because we work off temperature and flow, it activates our machine. So it works fine in that application. So that's your three options. As long as you have aquastatic control on that pump, your warranty is fine. We voided a lot of warranties with guys that just take a bronze circulator pump, plug it in the wall, and leave the pump on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that machine is just short-cycling itself to death.
Well, that's great that he designed it right into the boiler.
Yes,
Heater, though.
and initially, when these machines first came out, it didn't work right. The electronics didn't work right. They had a timer that would give you 20, 40, 60, or 90-minute timer, okay? So what would happen is if the 20 minutes was up, the pump would kick on. But then it wouldn't fire the burner up until the water started moving across the NTC sensor. And if it hadn't dropped the 8 or 12 degrees, then it doesn't fire the burner, shuts the timer off, and waits another 20 minutes. The problem we had with that logic was that any time someone ran the water in the house, hot water, it reset the timer. So if you had it set for 90 minutes and it got to 88 minutes and someone runs hot water, it resets it again for 90 more minutes. So you can have it cool down too much. The new software doesn't think that way. And we've changed the total logic in all the boards you have now, and it doesn't think that way
So
anymore.
what did that